Welcome back to the MyLatinLife podcast. Since 2014, MyLatinLife has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Today, we have a highly anticipated episode, the Chile Roundtable. Chile is a country that is very underrated among digital nomads and expats. A lot of people are curious. A lot less people have actually been. So we've assembled a team of three I guess you could say experts on Chile, or at least dudes who have been to Chile before. And we welcome them to the podcast to learn more about Chile as a digital nomad or expat. So why don't you go around and introduce ourselves? We have McGee, we have Constantine, and we have Matthias. So maybe we'll start with McGee at top left.
All right, cool. Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Iggy Clegg. I have been in Chile since April full time, but living in Latin America in general since 2017. And yeah, happy to be on the podcast. I'm originally from the US, born in New York, raised in Chicago. And yeah, I'm excited to share my experience in Chile so far.
Constantine?
So, hey everybody, my name is Konstantin. I'm originally from Russia and I'm living in Chile for 11 years. Worked all over Chile so technically I'm living in Santiago, but right now I'm in the north of Chile in a place called Copiapó. So
Copiapó.
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 Yeah, it's in the middle of Atacama region.
I'm whipping out the
like
Google
in the
Maps.
middle of the desert. That basically it.
And Matthias?
Hey, it's Matthias. I'm born and raised in Chile. I'm a lawyer. I work in corporate and migration issues, also with banks, and I'm a number one fan of Chile, so I'm not going to be objective today. I'm just going to say what I love about my country.
No, it's good to have a Chilean on the pod for sure. So well-rounded, many countries represented. So, basically we want to learn about Chile from the perspective of a digital nomad who hasn't been yet and maybe wants to go check it out, maybe do a month in Santiago or in Valparaiso on the coast or something like that. I mean, maybe your guys' experiences as expats, the ups and downs, the cultural shocks, this kind of thing. Maybe I'll kick it off with McGee. Like, what have been some shocks, cultural shocks that you've noticed in Chile compared to the US, and then also compared to other places in Latin America you've been?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I first came to Chile, it was basically I was I was living in Mexico for like 5 to 6 years, and I was looking for a change. Chile was always a place that I'd never been to, but always wanted to check out. Santiago, I had heard, was incredibly modern, more modern, and just kind of more Western values than a lot of the Latin American cities that are around and available that a lot of nomads will travel to. And so I thought, okay, I'll check this out, and while I check out a few other cities on this tour before kind of deciding where I want to spend more time. And when I arrived in Santiago, I was really blown away. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew there was great access to nature. I knew that it was a pretty big city, and I knew that they were a thriving economy relative to a lot of the cities in Latin America. But when I came, I was very, very surprised in how organized it was, how clean the streets are, how advanced kind of modern technology is here relative to other places. It's definitely, if you're going to compare it to the United States, it's actually on par, I would say, lifestyle wise, with many high end cities in the US, which is really amazing. And having spent a lot of time in places like Mexico City or Buenos Aires, where a lot of things are great, but generally functionally doesn't work all the time. And that's kind of like what a lot of expats will say is like, well, you live in Latin America, you kind of got to roll with the punches of when you're living in some of these cities. But in my experience in Santiago, everything just works. That was like the biggest shock relative to other places. And also, there is a lot of security, not in all of the areas of Santiago, but I was also surprised like how incredibly safe it is. And a lot of times when I'm on Twitter, just kind of like talking about Santiago, people seem to like jump all over me saying it's like an insecure place, it's very dangerous and all this stuff. But in my experience, like I feel very, very safe in Santiago. And that was also surprising. I mean, there's areas that I've walked through in the middle of the night without any issues whatsoever. And I'm sure Matthias and Konstantin can talk to those issues and why people think that. But having heard a lot of things coming into it, I found it to be a very, very secure location. And other things is like they have everything available. Just you want fine dining experiences, they have some of the best restaurants in the world. They have really, really high end luxury stores that you can go to, everything from the top to all the way to the bottom. But the most impressive thing that I found about Santiago that I loved and why I just kind of decided to really come here was that the access to nature is like really easy. So, for example, you can just like 20 minutes from my place. I actually went with Matthias a few
Yeah.
weekends ago. Yeah, like we went to this, they have these things called cerros, which are basically like hills, like hiking trails throughout the city. I think there's like 23 of them scattered throughout the city, right? And we went to this one called Maquihuito. And it's really like, I think it was like an 18-minute Uber ride, met up with Matthias, a few other people. And we took this like hour-long hike up to like one of the most beautiful views I've ever seen in my life. It was like absolutely stunning. And that's like something you could do like within 20 minutes right inside the city, which you can't really do in a place like Mexico City or other Latin American cities, or even frankly, like most places in the United States, you can't really do that. And it's not like it's a unique experience for one area. It's like the other day I did a Sarah hike with Constantine. We went out to Calan, took the metro ride, got out, we walked like 20 minutes. Next thing you know, we're also in this spectacular view there as well. And that's the other thing, like public transportation here is actually like amazing as well, and really, really easy to navigate and very, very affordable. And I think that's the thing that surprised me the most is like how connected the city is to nature and also how modern it is with amenities, everything that's available that you'd like is here. And it's yeah, I was just overall really pleased with it and decided, hey, let's stick around. This is fun. I don't know if you guys want to add to that.
I completely agree, Maggie. Chile is not the it's not dangerous as people say. Most parts of Chile are super chill. I think that Constantine can attest better on the north of Chile, which I think my perception is that it's getting sketchier. But Santiago and to the south, it's super safe. Santiago, of course, has some outskirt areas. 5, 6 particular comunas, which are like districts, which are dangerous. There's no reason why anyone would go there. We know that we shouldn't go in there. You cannot go in there by accident. It's not like favelas, which mix in Brazil with the rich areas of the city. Like in Rio, it happens every summer that a Chilean or an Argentinian goes into a favela because Waze send them there and they get killed. There's no way that you can get to Estación Central by accident. So that's my opinion, at least. So Santiago is pretty safe if you stay within a large area of Santiago. The access to world class nature is great, not only in Santiago. If you like skiing, you can go skiing to world class ski centers. I'm not a super ski fan, but the U.S. Olympic team trains in Santiago during the off season. The second biggest ski center in Latin America is in Santiago. It's called Valle Nevado. The largest one is in Bariloche, I think. It's called Cerro Catedral, but it's been closed because it's on a low altitude, so it doesn't have snow all year, and it has been permanently closed during this season, I think. But Valle Nevado is 3,000 meters tall. It's half an hour away from my house. That's crazy, I think. So you have world-class skiing half an hour away from your home. You have Manquehuito. You have all these hiking trails, either like that even some disabled people can use. Like you have these platforms of wood that you can have like great views of the city, and you also have these not so difficult hiking trails. So it's amazing in that sense. It's beautiful in the spring. It's beautiful in the summer. I think that Santiago is great, and you're an hour away from the entrance of Patagonia, which is Puerto Montt. Puerto Montt is like where you enter Patagonia. Puerto Montt is not beautiful. That's where the airport is. But you're 15 minutes away from Puerto Varas, which is world class. You see many people on TikTok, for example, talk about frutillar, which is like 30 minutes away from Puerto Montt.
Mhm.
They call it the most German city on earth. It's like a German went there and they're like,
Puerto
this
Varas.
was Germany. Yeah, Puerto Varas and Frutillar. They call Frutillar like
Protectay.
Frutillar. I didn't know about
Frutillar.
Frutillar. Okay.
Yeah, this girl was German and
Nice.
she was like, this was like my house and like my home when I was little. Like Germany is not like this anymore. And many Germans live there actually. So, and it's, you have a lake, you have a volcano as tall as Mount Fuji. So it's pretty underrated in that sense. And well, you have like Patagonia Indomita, like raw nature in Patagonia. If you go into Carretera Austral, which is one of the most beautiful road trips that you can do. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's amazing.
Also, I'll add to that the beach access is insane. Like that was another surprising element is like you literally an hour and a half you can go to the beach. You can take a bus ride for less than like $5 from Santiago to Viña del Mar, and from there you can like go to Valparaiso, which is an interesting city. It's kind of a dirty place, but the
Yeah.
places that I found like spectacular. I went to this one beach called Zapallar, and Zapallar is a little bit further up the coast from Vina. And this place literally feels like you're in the Mediterranean. I was blown away. It's like
Found it.
beautiful houses, overlooking the ocean, like coastline. I really felt like I was walking along like in Cinque Terre or something like that when I was in Italy. It was just like, wow, like this is literally an hour and a half outside the city of Santiago. No one talks about this. This is crazy.
And is the water
And
swimmable or like? Because they always say it's too cold. They always say that's like
yeah,
In
the
it's cold.
exact.
Zapallar, in Zapallar.
Zapallar is
Yeah.
too cold to swim.
No,
You
no.
can swim.
In the
Zapallar
It's
summer
has
just
a
it's cold
small
cold.
there.
bay which is swimmable.
Yeah.
And it's cold, but you can manage it. Like everybody swims there in the summer. So
In the
Yeah.
summer.
no,
Just
but
looking at the
Yeah,
Zapallar
well,
picture right now.
for foreigners, it's a hidden gem. Absolutely.
Today it
It
is
blew my mind.
13.7 degrees. That is very cold.
No, but it's winter. It's winter.
It's a
There's
yeah,
no
winter
way
it's
though,
in
anyone
man.
winter.
can swim there
We're in
today.
winter now.
But
No,
yeah, it's nice,
if you're
man.
looking for really swimmable places, you should go up north Chile. There is a place called Bahía Inglesa here in Atacama, which is like probably the most famous Chilean resort, and it's absolutely swimmable at summer.
Hmm.
Another place which is extremely popular, it's near La Serena. It's like city between Atacama and Santiago, which is like probably now it's fourth biggest city in Chile. It has really huge like beach. It has like really great like ocean shore in the
This is
south
La
of La
Serena,
Serena.
you're saying?
La
Okay.
Serena.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And in south of
This
La
is a
Serena,
very
there's a
map
place.
heavy episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
And in La
Sorry, keep
Serena,
going.
we have two places where it's absolutely swimmable. The one place called Totorerillo, which is like publicly open beach, which is like a clear Mediterranean water. It's absolutely swimmable. It's crazy. And in front of that, there is a place called Las Tacas. Las Tacas is the most expensive resort in all Chile. It looked like, I mean, it's in desert, but there is like, imagine that something like looked like from Arabic Emirates or wherever, because there is like extremely beautiful beach. It's a closed resort. It's a private one, but everybody could enter because in Chile there is a law that you can't occupy like the ocean shore or you can't occupy like the coastline. So everybody has an access there.
Yeah, no private beaches in Chile. I can confirm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like even
Yeah.
on
Another
lakeside.
option. Yeah. And another option, people are going on lakes. So Frutillar actually has really good beach also. Frutillar and Puerto Actay. Puerto Actay is like a regional German colony up north of Frutillar, which is kind of like rustic because Frutillar is a really great German city or German town, let's say. But Frutillar was kind of designed to be like Disneylandish type. And Puerto Actay is like the rustic one, which
Yeah.
has original colonial houses, original streets, like all the things that it were like it was like 50 years ago or 100 years ago when the colonies came. And Puerto Actay, Frutillar, also a place called Pocon and Villarica. All of these places, they're on the lakes and they have great places to swim.
Yeah, Pucón is
And it's totally
great.
swimmable at summer.
it always wins like one of the best or the best like adventure tourism capital of the world, because you have great rivers. So if you do kayaking, if I do rafting, I love rafting, but commercial rafting, nothing professional. You can like one day, oh, what are we gonna do? Like all my friends are there in the summer. Yeah, let's go do rafting. You do rafting one day. Oh, let's do canyoning, and you descend like cascadas, waterfalls, doing rappel, and you don't have to be an expert. There's some great canopy. Then
True.
you do wakeboard or you swim on the lake. Then you do Huerquehue, which is this crazy national park, which is basically in Pucón, and it has like it's like hiking in British Columbia, for example, for people in Canada. So you have everything you want.
Yeah.
In Pucón, if you like spending like fun summers, that's great. Great weather. The well, Yanquihue, which is the lake in Frutillar and Puerto Octay, is cold. I still swim there, but compared to Villarrica, it's much colder. So if you go to Villarrica, if you go to Rupanco, if you go to many other lakes, you have this lake district, and you can choose the lake where you want to be, and you can choose between rustic, historic, fun, water sports. No, it's really great. It's super fun, and yeah, if Constantine was mentioning the north, and the most beautiful things I've done in the north are star sightseeing. I don't know, like star watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
stars
it's
in
the big,
Stargazing.
the biggest like telescopes in the world, right?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
they're everywhere between La Serena and Antofagasta, which is like about 1,000 kilometers there. And there's a
cleanest
ton of
skies in the world.
telescopes. And in Arica, which is like the northernmost town in Chile, there is actually a seasonal train for stargazing. So there's a train with a glass roof. There's a huge window in the glass, and it goes at night by the desert just for you to see in the stars.
There's this scale in astronomy, like of
And
luminic contamination and pollution, and like
the,
Bortle one is like the most perfect sky. It's like the sky that I don't know, cavemen would have seen. And you have,
yep,
if you see the map in Chile, like more than half of Chile is Bortle one. Like in the north, it's crazy. People go to Valle del Elqui, which is amazing. Yesterday I was seeing it. It's like Bortle 2, Bortle 3. But if you go just outside the Valle del Elqui or any of these places, you see the sky. Like I once saw Bortle 1, not in the north, but in the south. It was like clear skies in Carretera Austral, and you wouldn't believe it. It's like you get dizzy. It's like really you get dizzy watching the sky, and I've heard people saying the same. So yeah, and we have like I don't know about astronomy, but there's something about the Chilean density of the air in the north and the altitude, etc., that is making like all the greatest observatories that are being built in Chile. Chile is that the north of Chile is the best place to build observatories. For ESO, the European Space Agency, for US observatories, they're all investing heavily into the Chilean north.
Amazing.
yeah, I'm staying like 2 hour drive from VLT, which is very large telescope, which is the biggest one in the world now. They built in Atacama Desert. So, and there is always like a tours you can go there because like in VLT on La Silla, I actually don't remember which one. They were filming like a James Bond movie which called Quantum of Solace or something like that, and there are tours actually there because there is a hotel, there is a restaurant, but this is not like, but this is like scientific telescope, so it's not like you come in there and you see in the stars, because
Yes.
all of them they're like they're technological one, they're electric ones, so they just take in the photos and then they just color in that. So it's not like really like a telescope. It's like a camera.
Yeah, it's like a
But yeah,
camera.
yeah,
But there are some private observatories that you can visit, and you can like see the sky with like your not bare eye. You can watch the sky with your eyes, but you can use like telescopes with a lot of augmentation, like optical telescopes.
yeah.
So
Even in Santiago, like they already mentioned Cerro Calan, which
Cerro
is
Calán.
it actually, yeah, it's astronomical. It's astronomical hill. There is a telescope on the top of this hill. So there is a days when you can go and visit that, and
Yeah.
nights, of course, yeah. But yeah, going back to the safety issues, I'd say yeah, like the Chilean north now is a bit rough because we have a lot of illegal migration here, And the same in Santiago. In Santiago, the biggest problems are mostly in the places which are full of the migrants from the Caribbean countries, let's say like that, from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Haiti, from Ecuador. And for example, the area of city center of Santiago and the central station where train station is, these are probably like one of the few areas in Chile where you actually see more foreigners than Chileans. Like the last news there, that in the city center there lives like 60% of foreigners and only 40% of Chileans. So yeah, now this area became extremely rough, but as a city center, there is like the presidential palace there. So all the tourists actually go in there, and yeah, it's okay. Let's say it's okay at the daytime. Yeah, but at the nighttime now, it's a bit rough.
I
This is
feel
like
like
the huge difference
I've seen
between
like
like
reels where it would be
yeah
like this street that looks like really like Latin American. It looks like Dominican and the music's blasting and it's just like,
yeah.
like really like low class, but it doesn't even look like Chile. Am I right? Does that exist?
In
It
some
exists
places.
now.
And there'd just be like Dominican music and like everyone's just like,
Estación
Yeah,
Central is like that.
yeah,
yeah.
the central station, yeah, the Estación Central place where the central train station there, and Valparaíso, Viña del Mar, and of course the north of Chile is like this now.
Yeah, you get all these barber shops full of people, like and well, they started realizing that there were barber shops open until like 3 a.m. So they weren't like actually barber shops, and it was full of them, like 300 in one part of the city. So
300 barbershops.
yeah, no, but they started like dismantling them. But I think that the government is like simply forgetting about this place, and they're like, yeah, this is like little Venezuela. Do whatever you want, like kill yourselves, like between you and we care about protecting the other places because like no Chileans live there anymore.
Uh,
Like
and
really.
and it's this is true, right? Like there's all these reels and like little videos you can see about this, and all the comments are Chileans like van a convertir Chile en el Caribe,
Yeah,
that kind of
Yeah,
thing,
it's
right?
true. It's true. Like
yeah.
probably like the most affected cities are Viña del Mar, Santiago, and Iquique and Arica up north.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download, or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys.
Yeah.
If there was like, because it's so beautiful up north, it's like like the craziest nature in the world. Where does it start getting dangerous? Like, is there sort of a like as I imagine as obviously probably close to Peru, but like how far is it? Like just on the border, or does it go pretty far south that it's like kind of insecure?
No, the north is huge. So we're talking about at least like 2,000 kilometers from north to south. So Arica now is on the border with Peru, which is kind of rough. Yeah, it's quite dangerous now, but it's much safer than it was 2 years ago. And like before the all the illegal migrant stuff, and all the illegal migrants began to came like in 2019, 2020 with pandemics. Before that, Arica was actually the safest the safest regional capital in Chile, and now it's not. The there is always danger in Tafagasta because it's full of Colombians,
They call it
and there is always
Colombia.
yeah.
Did
Yeah,
not know
we
that.
call it Antofagasta because the Colombians they
Yeah,
doing drugs, selling drugs there, and
Antofalopa.
yeah, and Iquique, which was pretty decent city before. Now it's like kind of horrible place, which I wouldn't go there now.
Yeah, it was a great city. Like, it was a great
Yeah,
city. And now it's like I know people like old people that were living there, and they are like, yeah, no, we're coming to Santiago or to another place because now it's full of like illegal migrants and it's dangerous.
Mhm. And also,
yeah,
this is
but
kind of common. Like as a new guy here, I hear this quite often. I'll be like, "Oh, what about this place?" Like Valparaiso, for example. Like, and both these
oh
guys
yeah,
will tell you, "Oh, Valparaiso used to be a really beautiful city. Like we loved it. It was
yeah,
great. We used to go as a kid." But the common theme that I'm hearing is that, and I love Chile. I think it's fantastic and everything's amazing and new for me. But the common theme that I'm hearing is like a lot of locals feel that the overall certain cities have deteriorated since immigration, some of the issues that they've experienced in the last like 5 to 6 years. Would you guys agree with that?
I'd say
Yeah,
most of the
Or
yeah.
even
cities.
longer? Yeah, most of the cities.
Yeah, but I think that, for example, like if a nomad comes to Santiago and he's like, "Yeah, I want to get to know the north. I want to see the stars." He's gonna take a car or a plane. He's gonna land, rent a car, go to Valle del Elqui. No safety issues at all. It's a
Yeah,
touristic place. Then he goes to Parque Nacional Pan de Azúcar, which is a national park, which is also beautiful because you have great beaches. And if you have a camper at night, you can see the stars. Bottle one, nothing's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
but if you go to the center of Iquique or to the sketchiest places, and Iquique is like not touristy. It's like you used to have like one great beach and that's it. But there's
Mhm.
no reason to go to Iquique. And other guys like nomads can live in the south if they can handle the weather. It's like really rainy. But if you're like a German or if you come from Switzerland, from Zurich, it's like it's not an issue, and you're not
Mhm.
going to have any problem. Like if you live in Puerto
That
Vara,
is a, and this is a thing like that I think is important for people to understand that would be considering Chile, is that exactly what Matthias is saying is like if you come here and that's your profile and you're gonna enjoy Chile and go to nice places, live in certain cities, have a nice apartment in it, and there's plenty of places. It's not just the highest end places that are safe. There's
yep,
plenty of mediocre areas as well that are also very safe in Santiago and other parts. But I think what's happening in Chile is it used to be such a safe country, from what I understand. There was like only
true.
petty crime before.
yeah.
But now what's happening is like there's some people who have illegally immigrated that are now criminals and doing some violent crimes for the first time in Chile. And so I think Chileans are generally overly shocked by that presence in Chile. So when you look at news articles or the news stations here, like they really are like, whoa, what the heck is going on with Chile? But the reality is, like, I'm from Chicago. Like, Chicago's always been very violent. And there's like places that you just never would go to and you still should not go to. But it's like, but in Chile, it's like everywhere used to be safe. And
Hmm.
so it's like in Chicago, it'd
Yeah,
be like, oh, yeah, like the South Side was just a safe place. Or like, it'd be like Cabrini Green never existed when I was a kid. Or like, West Garfield Park was always safe. And now it's like run over. But it's like, but that's the thing is that's what's happening in Chile, and that's why you hear about safety issues, is because it really kind of never existed before. It's like a new thing, but really now it's just like a normal place, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
You were
To
saying
to be
it
like to be
feels.
precise. Yeah, sorry. To
You
be
were saying like compared
precise.
to Mexico
Yeah,
City, it feels safer though.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's way safer than Mexico City
Yeah,
and
really.
absolutely,
Prague.
absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I
hands
mean,
Because
down, man.
to be
Mexico
And
is
the
very.
precise.
areas,
Yeah, to be
the
precise,
areas
like
that you
10
can
years
go
ago, the
to, yeah,
homicide
go
rate
for
in
a time.
Chile was 2.0 per 100,000, which is like European level. Now it's like
Like
4.6 or
Merida in Mexico.
6.5. Yeah. And when it's like, it's kind of on the level of Argentina.
Well,
We're talking about
4.6 is
this.
nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
comparatively, Mexico City, I think, is 14 out of 100,000. Chicago's like in the 20s, right? So that's kind
Yeah.
of what you're looking at. Like this
It
means it's
doesn't
like
really happen in
literally,
the highest end sectors. It's like a Venezuelan decapitated a Colombian in Estación Central, and it's
You
true.
shouldn't be laughing,
Like,
but
and
Yeah.
we're shocked because you see like bodies in suitcases, but it's like
uh,
50 minutes away by car. Like you really want to get to know danger if you go in there. So
yeah.
it doesn't worry people.
Yeah, so in conclusion, like in my opinion, my recommendation is do not think about like the overblown safety properly, like the safety issues that you're hearing about in Chile, because it's so much safer than most places in the world. And you're as a person that's coming here to enjoy the country and experience life, yeah, you're going to be in a safe position. You're going to have no issues. Just have common sense. Just don't go to bad neighborhoods. And you wouldn't really even want to go to these areas that they're describing. Like I haven't
Yeah.
been to most of them. So
Mhm.
I mean, you
I
done
think
Valparaiso,
Constant
so yeah.
yeah, I've done Valparaiso, but that was nice. And then Constantine took me on some excursion to like Franklin or something like that. But that was, apparently everyone's like, "Oh, I can't believe you've been there." I was like, "I don't know, it was pretty safe." Like
Yeah.
Well, Valparaiso has been deteriorated and it's dangerous at night. I think I don't know that much about the place, but I went as a kid and I loved it and it was so beautiful. And now it's like full of horrible graffiti. It smells like pee, and people still
Mhm.
go there. I think on bad recommendations. Like if you have 5 days in Chile, try to stay one day in Santiago, go to Atacama Desert and like San Pedro Atacama and come back. Don't be like 3 days in Santiago, two in Viña and Valparaiso. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And it happens. Like
Zapallar.
Go
blogs,
south.
Zapallar is
Go
nice
south
nice.
there.
people.
Hey guys, quick break from the episode to tell you about BitRefill. BitRefill allows you to shop online and in person without banks, converting your crypto directly into merchant balance. We're talking gift cards to Nike, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, Hotels.com, and many more, all paid for with crypto. BitRefill offers more than 10,000 gift card options in 180 countries all across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, El Salvador, and many more. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information.
Yeah. No, I don't know why people go so much to Viña del Mar. It's nice. It's a nice spot to like maybe go to Zapallar or these other places. But all the blogs I've seen like what to do in Chile, and it's always like Santiago and Valparaiso, and I don't know why. And
Would you
people that
say
really
I
know,
can explain that. I can explain that. So, being honest, there is all the Chilean like Lonely Planet stuff and all the blogs. They already wrote like 10 years ago when these places were actually safe and nicer. And
right?
since that, there were no change whatever in a destination where to go in Chile. For
Mm.
You go to
example,
Patagonia and Atacama.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
recommendation.
yeah,
That's
Chile is
another
the most
important point that
relaxed tourist.
Constantine's making because I hear like there's a British couple that I met recently. Well, you met them too, like the British and the guy from
Ah, yeah,
Switzerland.
from Hungary and
Yeah, yeah.
Switzerland.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we were looking at all the recommendations and we hear like Bella Vista is really nice. And that's funny because it's like Bella Vista
oh,
used to be like this high-end like restaurant neighborhood like 5 years ago. But and all the blogs and everything out there says Bella Vista is great. But now it's like a terrible place. Like you don't really want to go out there. And I mean you can go there, but it's not like where the high-end scene is anymore. And so
Yeah.
a lot of information has moved and quickly transitioned here in Chile. And it's just completely outdated because of certain changes. That's just something to pay attention to. Just keep in mind, a lot of this stuff moves quickly. Yeah.
If you want to come to Chile and see something that's maybe only in Chile and that's like truly world class, because like yeah, maybe Frutillar is amazing, but maybe you can find that in Switzerland. Like unique Chile, like world class. You go to Puerto Natales, Torres del Paine, which is pretty known, but some tourists don't go there. And you go to Atacama Desert. Those are like the top things to do in Chile by far. And I've heard that Easter Island is a scam. I'm not sure. I've never been there, but everyone says that
it's
Easter
not
Island
scam.
is totally overrated and it's super
Really?
expensive.
Yeah,
I've
Really?
heard that, yeah, from Chileans and from foreigners.
yeah, it's true
What do you think,
because you go in
Constantine?
there for 3 days and you have nothing to do at the first day. So I mean, it's a small one, so you can take like 4 3 hour ride around the island, and that's it. And the
Okay.
next 2 days, you're just waiting for your plane to go back.
Yeah, and I've heard that
Wow.
Islanders, the people that live there, the Rapa Nuis, are like super like rough with you, and they're like super, like they have manners, and they're like super territorial, and like classical place that lives off tourism but hates tourists, and
Yeah.
which happens a lot, like Barcelona, for example. But these guys, for example, like I dream in going to Bora Bora, and I was like, yeah, I should go to Bora Bora. Let me see how much it costs. And I realized that only the tickets cost like 3K per person. And I'm like, why? If you go to like Santiago, then Rapa Nui, then Tahiti, you're done. Like, but the islanders are like, no flights here. We're a safe island. Like, no flights allowed. So now I need to go to Los Angeles, and then I go to like maybe Hawaii, and then I need to go to Tahiti. So these guys close the airways. They're like super territorial. I don't have like a personal beef of them. I don't know any islander, but all people comment the same.
And what about the
Okay.
Juan Fernandez Islands?
That's apparently beautiful. My father went there. He went via. It's super difficult.
Just lost your audio.
You lost your mic.
Last year.
Okay, while he's taking his audio back, I want to add something like about the unique Chilean experience. I'd say the Carretera Austral, which is like the Patagonia road from Puerto Montt to Coyhaique, or you could go down to Via O'Higgins. This is probably the most unique scenic road you will ever see in your life. And
Awesome.
another thing is in the Chilean south, which is placed between Pucón and Puerto Montt, and especially the places like Willow Willow, Panguipulli, Puerto Actay. All these places are quite unique, yes, because you can see the towns there, which are colonial ones. Yeah, they look kind of like Germanic towns, wherever, but in front of them, there are volcanoes, there are glaciers, there are lakes, there are rainforests, and this is like unique mix you won't find anywhere else. The north of Chile, yeah, it's beautiful, Atacama Desert, whatever, but you can find the same in Argentina. You can find the same in Bolivia. It's not like something that unique. But yeah, in the north of Chile, there is a place called La Serena, which is like the fourth biggest towns of Chile, and which is actually has a great quality of life. It's just a really good city for living. That's the thing about the Chile. Chile has 16 regions, and in like 14 of these 16 regions, they're all infrastructure you need. It's not like only Santiago has like some stores, some supermarkets, some services. All these regional capitals, they all have the same services. They all has the same stores. They all has huge supermarkets. They all has Decathlon. They all has like restaurants, whatever.
I'm going to buy something today in Decathlon. Yeah. So sorry, I lost my audio, but now you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to speak about Juan Fernandez. My father went there. It is protected. Like if you are a diver, Juan Fernandez is world class. It has these endemic creatures that are only in Juan Fernandez. For example, I love this seafood called cangrejo dorado, golden crab. It's only found in Juan Fernandez. It's so tasty, and the thing is that the landing strip for the planes was really short. So a famous person in Chile actually died going there. It's called Felipe Camiruaga. It was like a national tragedy. They were going to help people because Juan Fernandez was devastated by the tsunami. He went there with another person called Felipe Cubillos and many other people, and the plane crashed because it was low visibility and the strip was really short. So I don't know if it's usable right now, the strip, but my father went after that, so he obviously didn't go via plane, via small plane. He went via like fishing ship, but it's like 4 days. He doesn't normally get dizzy, and he was like, this was like really rough. But he got in there, and it was like, I felt like Robinson Crusoe. Like it's like really endemic, really low populated. crazy fish that you see below the water that you can only see in Juan Fernandez, full of sharks. It's like this World Heritage of like like UNESCO protects Juan Fernandez like sea. It has like this maritime protection area where you cannot touch anything, and it's like diving. It's like seeing the stars, but like during the caveman era, but when you dive. So it's apparently great, but really difficult to get in there.
Yeah, true.
Well,
Yeah, one of the
Antarctica
things.
is another thing in Chile. Like people do. People go through Argentina, but people that I know that have gone to Antarctica are like, yeah, no, the Chilean route is way better, but you
Really?
have a really rough sea. So the Drake
How's it
Passage
better
is
if the sea is rough?
uh-huh.
There's a Drake Passage. That's it.
Yeah, Drake Passage is the worst sea in the world, like confirmed by all seamen and mariners, etc. It's like even professional mariners vomit in the Drake Passage. But yeah, you can go via plane too to Antarctica, but I think it's like 10K. So
Wow.
I don't know if I would do it.
Yeah, there are actually planes from Punta Arenas to Puerto Williams. Puerto Williams is like the southernmost city or town in all the world and in Chile. And from there, or from Punta Arenas, you actually have commercial flights to Antarctic Chilean base called Eduardo Frei Montalva, which is in Antarctic. And there are a pretty ton of tourists. Actually, Punta Arenas, like a lot of like the flu of international tourists who come to Punta Arenas, those are the ones who go into Antarctica. And they're going by plane. So before going to Antarctica, you need to spend at least like a week in Punta Arenas because they training you what to do and what you cannot do in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chile is one of the few countries that has a presence in 3 continents. We have presence in Antarctica, we have presence in Oceania via Easter Island and Juan Fernandez, and we have presence in America. So geopolitically speaking, Chile is always like respected. I was super deep into international law, and everybody was like, Chile has presence in 3 continents, and it's like a really small nation. So it was pretty important. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ben, should we cover like some of the cost of living topics? Like, would that be something that we should jump into?
Yeah,
Because
sure. Let's talk
yeah,
cost of
like
living.
Yeah, and the
yeah, let's do
cities where
because
to stay, whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
I
like
actually
one of
want
the
to hear
things
it
like
from Constantine first. I want to hear the non-American perspective first,
cool.
because
Okay.
Russians have a whole different idea of cost of living.
Oh well.
That's true, man.
Well. First, to be honest, I'm living here for 11 years. All my income is from here, so it's more like my perspective is already Chilean, not Russian. So, for example, in
Right.
Russia, I work in Russia like probably like 2 years in all my life. So, yeah, but comparing now, Chile has kind of the same prices for products as Russia, but much higher quality of life. For example, the medicine, for example, the infrastructure, all these things, they're kind of like on par, but Chile is kind of a bit better. In medicine, Chile is much better, way better. And about like the quality of life, yeah, because there's lots of Russians who came from the small towns in Russia where everything is cheap, but it's like these towns not that great. They have low quality of life, whatever, and they come into Chile, and because they're like really had some really huge problems with their income because their income is from Russia. They're in rubles. They need to convert by crypto, whatever. I don't know. So they're staying not in the best areas in Chile. And in Chile, the thing that if you're staying like in medium or medium low area, it could be like the center of Santiago, it could be Valparaíso, it could be Viña del Mar. Your quality of life will not be the best, and the price you are paying will be much higher that, for example, you could pay in Portugal, in Spain, in Balkan countries, or in Caucasus countries like Georgia or Armenia. And it will be rougher because all these areas in Chile, like the medium price, like all the Airbnbs are there, all the like the cheap cheap places where you can rent an apartment for 300, 400 US dollars per month. They are dangerous, actually. This is like the Estación Central. This is the center of Santiago, Independencia, or some parts of Viña del Mar and Valparaíso.
Yeah.
That's why, like, for Russians, probably it's not the best place to move. But for somebody who's like from the westernized country, who has a normal income, and say normal income for Western countries or for Chile, like, you can find much more options and you will have a normal, decent quality of life. And all the products here will now Chile in something like, for example, the apartment rent, the products, the services. It's kind of cheaper than Argentina. It's cheaper than Uruguay. It's on par with some services in Brazil. And for Europe, I have a lot of friends who now live in the Netherlands. I have a friend who lives in Porto. I have a friend who lives in Spain. And like, some services were on par. Some products or some food in Chile is more expensive because it's so far to take, like, from some, for example, you can find here in a huge chain of supermarkets, there is some, like, the chocolate from Latvia, for example. It's so great, but it's much more expensive here because you need to take it from Latvia to here. But in overall, I'd say it's probably from all Latin American countries, Chile has the best ratio, and you having what you're paying for.
Good value.
And that's it.
Yeah, I agree with Constantine. This is my own intervention. Like, Chile is more expensive than other Latin American countries, but like price to value, it's the best by far.
No, it's not more expensive. I just been to Argentina. It's
Argentina right now and
expensive.
Uruguay is more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So my take on it is coming in. The thing that's interesting from my perspective as a new guy here is you actually have a lot of options in terms of how you want to live your life and how much you want to spend. For example, like the premier areas that like a normal nomad would probably be considering would be like Las Condes or Vitacura, or well, would people live in Barnechea? Probably not. No, it'd probably be more like Las Condes, Vitacura, or Providencia.
Lower
That's
than
kind of like
a family.
right. That's kind of like what they would consider, right? If they have a family, Barnechea, right? But those are all like relatively nice places. Providencia, people consider it a little bit less quality than Las Condes, but it's still a good place to live. And then, but here's the thing, like the price differences in rent between Providencia and Las Condes is actually substantial in some cases. You can live much more cheaply with a similar quality of life in Providencia than Las Condes or Vitacura. And so when we're talking like rent prices, like, and then there's another area called like Nuñoa, which is also a very nice place, but incredibly much cheaper than Providencia and also Las Condes. But all these are like normal places to live, but the range in rents, and correct me if I'm wrong, Constantine, you probably know these prices better than me.
Mm-hmm.
But like, for example, if you're in Las Condes, you can find like a very nice, like 1 to 2 bedroom apartment for like $1,500. Do you agree with that statement in Vitacura and Las Condes?
No, for $500, no. But for
I said
$700,
15,
$800, 15,
1500.
For 15, yeah.
Yeah,
You can find
1500,
even
right?
cheaper for $900. Yeah, whatever.
In
And
Las
the only
Condes and
statement
Vitacura.
I can't agree with you that Providencia actually has a higher quality of life than Las Condes, especially the
You
south of
agree?
Providencia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair. But anyways, but you're kind of looking at like a $1,500, $1,000 to $1,500 in certain areas. But then if you move into a place like Nuñoa, it could be even cheaper. Like you can go from what I've heard, it could be like $500 to $800. Would you agree with that statement, guys?
Yeah. And
Okay.
Peñalolén, for example, is great. It's like exactly the same as Lo Barnechea, but cheaper. Like the high-end areas of Peñalolén are really great for families. Like maybe somebody like me or my friends wouldn't live there because you are 40 minutes away from your friends. But if you have no friends in Chile, you could start your life in there and have like a really high-end life in Peñalolén and some parts of La Reina. I was going to say something. Providencia and Las Condes for me are great. Like both are great, just different vibes.
Mhm.
Providencia is not hipster, but it has like a cafe culture, traditional buildings, like
Oh man,
neoclassical.
we're coming to gentrify.
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Providencia was always like high end class neighborhood, but
yeah,
it's in between Las Condes and the city center. That's why like the part of Providencia which is close to the city center is quite rough, but it's not
yeah.
like
Yeah.
rough. It's like dangerous, whatever. It's like the medium class, but
I, I
the
I see
part of
this area,
Providencia, yeah,
Barrio Italia. That's what I
yeah,
want
Ooh,
to
that's
be. I
nice.
A
want to be
barrita
with
is
my.
hipster, like super
I want to be
yeah.
hipster.
with my
It's
Italians.
hipster. It's so hipster now. Now it's the biggest like hipster area in Santiago, probably.
Yeah,
So
It's
by
how
fun.
much
far.
does it cost for me to live there in Barrio Italia?
Don't live in Barrio Italia. Go there to eat.
Yeah, because
See,
there's no metro, there's no supermarkets there. There is
And at
like
yeah.
night, it could be dangerous in some parts. So if you don't,
yeah,
But here's
yeah,
the vibe on Byron Bay. I agree with you, man. It's like you look at that, you're like, wow, this is really cool. I'd love to live in this place. But the thing is, like, the location is really separated from everything. There's like a
yeah,
bunch of crappy neighborhoods in between that and like all the places that you want to actually spend more time in. But it is a really cool
yeah.
neighborhood. I love going there on the weekends. It's super chill.
yeah.
But yeah,
Barrio Italia
it's,
is hipster, like industrial hipster, but some parts of
Yeah.
Providencia are great, like neoclassical buildings and cafes. So and like low rise buildings, like Las Condes.
Let's say like that. Previdencia has more like Buenos Aires-ish or
Yeah,
Southern Europe vibe, and Las Condes or Vitacura is more like North American. It's like
Uh-huh.
mhm.
It
more like
reminds me of like Las Lomas in
yeah,
Mexico City.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's kind of
Previdencia
like
has yeah, and Previdencia has
I,
an absolutely great area and the street called Pacuro, which
yeah.
is like the best area to stay in Previdencia.
yeah,
Yeah, and I like Parque Araucano in Las Condes, and if you want to like really spend, you can live in El Golf, which is great too. But I remember like what Constantine said. I remember the first time I went to Buenos Aires. I was like 10 years old, and I said like to my parents like, "This is like Providencia. Like, why did we come here? This is the same. Like Palermo is the same." But
yeah,
yeah, of course, no, I would say that Buenos Aires doesn't have more life than some parts of Providencia. The thing is that it has more life, like widespread life.
yeah.
But yeah,
But but I guess like, in comparison, if anyone listening knows like Mexico City, I would say like the kind of availability for lifestyles is actually kind of similar to Mexico City. You have your Polanco, you have your Condesa, you have your Roma Norte. Like those are a little bit more expensive, but Polanco is very expensive. So I would say like Roma Norte and Condesa, they're like the Providencia. Like Polanco is more like the Vitacura and
Vitacura.
Las Condes in a way, right? More Vitacura. And then you also have other places like Nuñoa, which I would be like, that's like kind of living in Coyoacán or something like that. And but it's that's kind of like the range of price levels that you can live in, and they're that kind of separated as well. But that's kind of how I describe it. But
So
there's something for everybody.
is it sounding like kind of like 1,200 USD per month for a 2 bedroom, something like that? Like on
Where?
That's
average?
actually cool. In the nice areas, yeah. In the nice
Yeah.
areas, yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
Airbnb,
actually La
no.
Conde's price. In La
Yeah,
Condes
Las
you can
Condes
find
in a
this.
nice area.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Airbnb is going to be more expensive. Yes, but for a long-term rental
probably
contract,
twice.
man, that's
Yeah,
that's what it's like. Yeah.
Okay.
But in a
So
really
someone
nice
could
area.
definitely live well on $2,000 a month all in
if you're
Yes, you
alone,
could do
yeah,
that.
yeah, sure, yeah,
if you're
If
alone.
you're a single person, 100%.
yeah. If
Yeah.
And
single, yeah.
also a good salary here is like $2,000 equivalent. Would you guys agree with that?
If
Yeah.
you're alone, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like for example, let's say like a high class person, not like crazy billionaire person, like a high class person that wants to live alone with his girlfriend is like yeah, $3,000 on the best areas, 2 bedroom, two like all in,
Yeah.
like really best areas, but of course not in a mansion with a garden.
Uh-huh. And
Right.
you're considering like going out to eat, two,
Yeah,
3 times a week or
3,000
something.
bucks, yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
for
Three
two
thousand
people,
Yeah.
bucks.
two young
That's
people.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's one more thing. Like going out to, if you're looking like where to go out to eat, Santiago is not the most expensive city in South America, in Chile. I'm sorry. Like in
Yeah.
the northern regions of Chile, it's way more expensive to go out to eat than in Santiago, and way less
Yeah.
options.
Chile
And
has gotten a lot of inflation. A lot of that inflation has particularly gone to concert tickets. I'm surprised by that.
yeah,
Like maybe Maggie didn't see it, but like I used to go to a lot of concerts. And now, like a basic ticket is like $150, and I'm not going to concerts anymore. I prefer to go
oh
to
my gosh.
expensive restaurants.
Uh,
Just football games.
Expensive now. I don't get it.
yeah, I'm really big. I'm really a huge concert fan. So I went to like probably like 10 concerts this year. So I went to, for example, to Stone Temple Pilots, and Stone Temple
Wow.
Pilots. The entrance was like $50.
But that's like
Uh,
the cancha, right?
no, this was in Movistar Arena, Cancha.
Okay. Cancha, yeah.
So and I went to Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza. I went for two for 1 day. Lollapalooza. It's like $100 the entrance. And if you go, like, for example, to huge stadium concerts like Guns N' Roses or whatever, it's like $110 per entrance,
Hmm.
which is
That's another
not
great
that
thing.
different from like 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah. But Lollapalooza is
But
so
like,
expensive. I haven't been to
but
Lollapalooza in like 5 years. But Lollapalooza, like what people say about Lollapalooza, Chile, and like I know some people that love concerts and go to like a lot of places, and they always say like the best heavy metal and like metal fans in the world are Argentinians and Chileans. Like they really go crazy and they put these flares. Like if you wanna experience like craziness in a concert, like Travis
Yeah.
Scott or metal or another thing, Chile is a great place to be. Or EDM, electronic dance music.
yeah,
Can I
but,
ask?
but
So we got about like 10, 15 minutes left. I want to ask
Mhm.
something kind of random, but I think what might be important for people, which would be how do you feel about like the interaction between the people and the government in the terms of like surveillance state and freedom? You know, they always tout Paraguay as kind of being like the freest country, right? And I think a lot of the people who might want to leave Europe or Canada, the US, they want more freedom. They don't want the EU reading their WhatsApp messages. They don't want, you know, all this stuff. So, you know, like how's, you know, what's kind of the vibe in Chile?
hmm. Well, it's difficult to live in Chile without being registered with a root and stuff like that. They do like everywhere you transact, they're going to ask for like
Yeah.
your root, your registered finance number. Well, I don't know what the equivalent, social security number. I guess that's like the equivalent, which is kind of weird, right? But you know, I think Constantine and Matthias could talk more to this. I think they're more integrated into like what the issues are. That's all. I'll pass it to you guys.
No, basically, it's like if you're looking like, for example, Paraguay style, Chile is not the place. It's more like
Mm.
European type of control, European type of like they know everything about you, because when you go into buying supermarket, you're saying like your social security number, and they have all information about you, where you're living, your
Mhm.
name, your income. All the banks knows your income, wherever. So it's
Mm.
not
Yeah.
like you can come here and live a low level, because without local documents, without local like social security number, it would be so hard to live here.
I think that
So
my
yeah,
lawyer, my legal perspective, no, not my legal perspective, my political perspective, Chile is an OECD member, which is like the most developed countries in the world are part of the OECD. They
Yeah.
have like these standards. Chile complies with like the basic standards in that sense. So in that
Mhm.
sense, it's not Paraguay because Paraguay is super underdeveloped. So it's not gonna comply with like basic regulatory standards. But
yep,
like inside the OECD, I think we're like non surveillant. I think that yeah, now legally, judicially, for example, if I want to, I represent a state organ and I want to sue somebody, it's really difficult to get like their true address unless their true address is the one they have in the civil registry. Like you have some public records, and those are the ones that you can easily access. You can normally access them through like judicial decisions, so you need to fight for that. But the ones that you give to the supermarket, etc., I know that it sounds like you're being surveilled, but you're truly not. Like I've tried to access those records for some people during litigation, and no, like DCOM, like Equifax doesn't, like Jumbo doesn't report to Equifax. You need to sign a contract in which you say Here, I agree that you share my personal address to DCOM in case I go into debt, and that's like the requisite. So you give it. I think that maybe they internally use it. Like if you go to a supermarket, they see like your purchase history, etc., for like marketing purposes. They don't ask for your email, which is something that they do a lot in the US. But legally speaking, you can be like really under radar. Like if you don't like want people to know where you live, etc. You simply don't report that to the public organs, which are the only ones that you can ask the courts to give info about.
Mhm.
That's my perspective, I think.
And
I,
Matthias, I think I've heard you mention something about banking and like certain banking rights and secrecy banking rules. Like, do does the banking system communicate with other branches of government?
banking is super secret. You have to do like a lot of transactions per month, like 200 or 100 transactions, I think, per month, so that the IRS can eventually audit you and access that info without a judicial order. And banking itself, like seeing your funds, etc. And there's no way unless you get a judicial order, and that particular judicial order is super difficult. Right now, communists are trying to pass a bill to withdraw or like waive banking secrecy, which obviously is what they do for a living, but it's not going to get past this. I think that I'm not sure. I don't want to spin into the air, but I think that it's not going to get past. But right now, there's banking secrecy, and well, if you want to get a loan, they're going to ask you to get reports from other banks or to report to the com so that they know your statements, but they don't have like immediate access to that. Well, unless you sign it, it's like
What about like taking cash out? Like if I go to the bank, can I take out like 5 grand, or do they have like limits on that type of stuff? Kind of the way they're implementing
No,
that
there
in
is no
Europe.
limit. There is no
no
limit.
limit,
Just go
only on
to the
the
cashier.
cashiers, ATMs,
Yeah.
but because of a liquidity thing. But on the cash thing, like you can withdraw any amount of money you want.
Yeah, but there is one important thing to mention, because you as a foreigner, you probably won't open any banking account here until you're living here, for example, for at least 4 or 5 years, because you need like a permanent residency to open a real banking account. Because when you come into Chile, after 1 year and something, you have a temporary residency, which permits you open only like the governmental banking account in the national bank called Banco Estado. And this governmental bank is famous because all his bases, all his like the database is always leaking. Like everybody knows what's in Banco Estado. It's so easy to buy it. So lots of companies actually buying the base of Banco Estado just to have all the data about all their clients. But before you don't have a permanent residency, just forget about to have a real banking account. Because in Chile there is also like some like new banks like Revolut or something like that, but like the analogs of Revolut codes like Match, Falabella, whatever, but these are not real banks. They're not under like international banking standards. So if you want to have a real bank account, it's like you need to live in Chile at least for 4 or 5 years just to open one.
A great alternative that is what I use with a client is that you use Wise, and you use the Wise card and you use it here in Chile, and you use everything directly from Wise.
Yeah,
So you don't even
yeah. You could
enter any money
transfer.
into Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how I operate. Like if I need to transfer money in, I'll just go move it into a Wise account, and then it converts into Chilean pesos anywhere it needs to go to whoever you're interacting with. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I bank entirely outside of Chile. It's not a big deal. Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
So we definitely want to wrap up. I have kind of a hard stop in about 5 minutes here. Um, any kind of last stuff you guys want to mention?
Yeah, it would be cool to mention like there in Chile there is not only Santiago as a place to live, because there's another cities in region where you can actually have the same quality of services and the same services as in Santiago, but you probably have a small city, but with better quality of life. For example, you can live to in La Serena. You
This
can
guy
stay
loves La
in
Serena.
no. I mean, because for the last 5 years, it's one of the cities which improved its quality of life a lot, and it's actually famous among foreigners because there's a lot of English speakers because all these scientists who are coming there to work there on the observatories, on the telescopes.
Mm.
And there's another place called Concepcion, which is
Yeah.
the second biggest city in Chile, which has all the infrastructure as Santiago, and but the problem of Concepcion, it has a nature like Vancouver. So it's raining, it's like British Columbian type of nature and climate.
Mm.
So another good place to live probably could be Valdivia, which is kind of like German town. Like once it had a European quality of life, but it's kind of like small town. And another good place to stay probably could be the same Puerto Varas. Puerto Varas is all around. It's if you like a countryside, if you like touristic place, if you like really high quality of life, just go stay between Puerto Varas, Frutillar, and Puerto Actay. These
Yeah.
are like really great spots if you don't mind like when it rains, like the biggest half of the year. And that basically it. Also like a bit south of Santiago, you have a place called Rancagua, which is like the mid city, kind of like Santiago, which is so connected to Santiago. So actually, you can come to Santiago faster than from some parts of Santiago because it has a high speed train which takes only like less than 1 hour from Rancagua to the city of Santiago. And Rancagua, like you come to Rancagua and everything is less like for like at least like for the 30%, all the
Mhm.
rents and
Yeah.
all the same
So like
services.
good tier B and tier C cities in
Yeah,
Chile, and
Yeah.
because it's safe and has good infrastructure,
yeah.
it's actually pretty underrated. And we talk about that a lot on Twitter. Like tier B LATAM is actually in
Yeah.
Yeah.
some ways better.
The only thing
Uh,
important
And
just don't go to El Paraíso, don't go to Viña del Mar. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. I would just
Well,
add that
Vince,
next to Viña del Mar, there's Concon, and Concon is becoming really great, really developed. It's more like super new rich, high-end, high-rise towers like Miami. But if you like that thing, you're gonna love it. And if you're like, oh no, that's new rich for me, I have a lot of money, go and live to Zapallar, which is like living in Nantucket, like small, like nice beach place.
yeah,
did you just reference Nantucket?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he did.
That's funny.
Why? No, my
No, I
girlfriend
mean
has
I'm
family
surprised you
there.
know what that
So.
is.
Uh,
But
but
I love the names of places in Chile. I'm like having mad fun with Zapallar and all the you
con
got. There's
con.
really good names. Yeah.
But yo, Vance, can I throw in like two more things, just like
Sure,
real quick
sure,
notes?
sure.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is also important that I think a lot of your audience would be interested in, moving to a place can be hard sometimes to connect with people. I would say I've lived in a lot of cities around the world, and I would say that Chile is one of the easiest places to make friends. People are
Mm.
very, very inviting. And I think this is important. They're interested in meeting foreigners. They're interested to get to know you. And another thing is just like, yeah, I've never had such an easy time kind of getting to know people. So I would highlight that if you're nervous about that. This is actually one of the better places that I've seen and experienced throughout the world. Um, Another thing is we didn't tackle residencies, but one thing, just a reality check on this, like residencies are not as easy as other places to get. So you got to plan in advance. Like it
Mm.
takes about, for the one that I'm doing, it's going to take 15 months or more to actually finish. But Matthias is an expert in this if you want to add anything on that, but it is more difficult.
Yeah, you can basically live. It's so bureaucratic. Like we as lawyers do the bureaucracy, but it's bureaucratic. So you just can live on the certificate of application. That's
Uh-huh.
like that's
It's not
enough.
instant.
It's not instant. So you have your certificate. No, I applied for this 15 months ago. Ah, okay, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. And hey, maybe a shameless plug. Obviously, My Latin Life, we're immigration consultant. We actually work with Matthias as well. And there's actually a link in the description, guys, to this podcast where you can book a call with MyLatinLife directly, and we can get the process started on Chile residency and explore other residency options in Latin America, lowering your taxes, all that good stuff. But guys, thank you so much for doing this. Quick note, when we say bye, hang on for 2 seconds so the audio has time to upload from your browser. But yeah, so thanks so much, guys, for doing this again. We have Constantine, we have Matias Rivera, we have McGee, Clegg. Got that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for joining. I'm going to put, a link to your Twitters or website, whatever you want, in the description to this video. And I'm sad it's a little bit short at just over an hour in length. So maybe we'll have to do a part 2 sometime.
Perfect, man. No, thanks so much for having us.
Better internet. Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
This was fun.
So this has been another episode of the MyLatinLife podcast. Guys, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to this, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. It really helps us grow the show. And we put out 2 episodes a week with amazing episodes like this one. You won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now.